Alright, what is going on, everyone? Obviously, episode 2 of Dandadan is out. Great episode. Some discussion maybe with the use of CGI, who knows, but we'll see. Overall, I thought it was a great episode. I thought the animation looked awesome, but we'll give everyone a few minutes as always before we get into the discussion at large. In the meantime, I'll do my usual thing, share on Twitter, all that good stuff. Justin, how you doing? Pierre, how are you? CGI was bad? Yeah, so I was going to ask, what do you guys think of the CGI? I actually thought small CGI characters better than big CGI characters. Yeah, I would tend to agree. I think a recent example that's good is the Thousand Year Blood War anime. They usually reserve CGI for like the fodder characters. So like, you know, it's not as in your face, I guess. Whereas when you have this giant character, everything's sort of like hyper fixated and you kind of notice a lot more than say like smaller characters. That's a good point. I wouldn't have put it like that, but that actually makes perfect sense. It wasn't great, but it wasn't so horrible. Yeah, I mean, with Dandadan it works because the problem with CGI is it makes whatever you animate with the CGI stand out too much, and it kind of takes you out of the experience. But that actually works in Dandadan's favor because with Dandadan, the aliens and monsters are supposed to seem out of place. Like they're supposed to seem like they don't fit in the world. So to animate them with CGI, it does kind of create that feeling of like, this doesn't seem right. Like this feels weird. So while it's not as crisp as animation like we're used to, it does sort of create a certain feeling that they're probably doing on purpose. Aaron in Titan form looks off, while Katana Man looks cleaner. Yeah, I generally agree. I think if you're going to do CGI, you do have to tone it down a bit. I think they obviously have a lot more work before it looks good, I guess. But, I mean, it's definitely a lot better than it was, what, like 10 years ago, 15 years ago? Did I hear that Berserk is getting 2 new chapters? No, I did not hear that. When are we supposed to get to the new chapters? So a couple things about the new episode. One thing that I thought was interesting that they did was they did the whole scene inside the barrier in black and white. I can see how some people might not like that, but I thought that was perfect. Again, these are things that, you know, a lot of people come after the whole anime versus manga thing, and I've even seen people in comments to my videos say, you know, it's going to take me a while to get used to the anime because it doesn't look as good as the manga. Now, I've gone on record saying that Yuki Tatsunobu's art style is arguably the best art style in any ongoing manga right now, period. It's incredibly detailed to a degree that no other manga does that consistently. That being said, obviously because it's not animated and it's in black and white, it misses out on certain opportunities. For example, like having the aliens and the monsters in CGI when everything else isn't, right? I mean, you can't do CGI in manga. You can do photographs, stuff like that, but it's different. And the other thing is switching from a show which up until this point has been very colorful, like very saturated, right? Everything super saturated. And then going from that to everything being in black and white, it's insane. It's crazy. Like they're doing a lot of subtle things to really bring you into the experience of this story, like to really make this anime feel like Dandadan. And then of course it's science art, right? I mean, they're doing all kinds of cool stuff, like just the sequence in the beginning of the episode when they're entering when they're going to Momo's house and they have to get through the barrier. Like that little sequence of Okarun when he walks back in and he's like, can I? It was such a silly little thing to focus on, but just like to watch him, you know, like just to see that animated and like take the time to actually animate that, it made it feel real. Like it didn't feel like they were just, you know, cutting to all the good parts, right? Just from here to here to here. Like it started slow before they got all the craziness of this episode, which I liked. I liked it a lot. Another thing I will say I liked about the episode, I thought the animation for Okarun's transformation was really good. I thought that was handled well. They didn't go over the top, but I thought it was done well. Which, to be fair, in the manga, it's not necessarily, you know, treated like Super Saiyan or anything like that, or like Gear 5th. Obviously, it's an exciting part, but like they don't make it this epic thing. Oh, well, thank you to Hero Legend 7H2 for the subscription. Much appreciated. Although they're probably not even in the stream. Anyway, the other thing I would say, excuse me, is I'm really satisfied with the quality of the anime and the animation and the production. Like, it feels movie level, which is such a silly thing to say because, you know, everyone throws that around. Like, when Bleach came back, everyone was like, oh, it's movie level. Or, you know, when we get also thank you to Rare Rear IA for the subscription. Anyway, like you see certain episodes of Black Clover and people will be like, "Oh, it's movie level, right?" Um People throw that around a lot. But like, I was watching today's episode in the beginning and I'm like, this feels like a movie. Like, it honestly feels like I'm watching a movie. Which, to anybody that was fortunate enough to go watch the first 3 episodes in theaters when they did that theater premiere, I'm sure it must have felt like a movie. But even, you know, hanging out at home, watching the episode, it feels like a movie. And I think part of what gives you that feeling is, one, it's Science Saru, and they're so good at animating things, right? Like, the expressions of the characters and just how fluid and loose everything is really makes the animation shine. And then another part of it is the color palette for this anime. In the opening, it's very saturated, right? It's a lot of bold, contrasting colors. But for the most part, like, still very saturated, but it's not oversaturated at all. This is a very colorful anime, and it makes it feel alive, on top of the fact that like, the animation is so top tier. Habibi said it comes out tomorrow at 4:30 p.m. in the UK. That's weird. I wonder why they split up the time zones like that on Netflix. Japan and other countries I can understand. Like, obviously Japan has its TV schedule, but it's not like the UK is tethered to that. I wonder why they do that. If it was Disney and Hulu, I would understand, because Disney is weird with how it distributes and represents itself. It does like the Toyota and Lexus thing, where, like, in America, the States, it's Disney and Hulu, but then in Europe and other countries, it's just Hulu, right? But that's weird that they do that. I don't know why they would do that. OG, what mangas are you keeping up with that's worth your time? So, at one point, I was weekly with basically everything in Jump and Jump Plus, and most of the stuff in Weekly Shonen Magazine. So, if you're asking me, like, what do I think is worth reading, my recommendation is always going to be catch up to everything in Jump, at least the stuff that you like, right? Same thing for Jump Plus. Obviously, there's like a million series in Jump Plus, but the stuff that people actually seem to like in Jump Plus, or that seems relevant, and then whatever you like in Weekly Shonen Magazine. As far as what I've been consistently reading lately that I'm caught up on, what's going on, Benjamin? How you doing? Hope you're having a great Thursday afternoon. Also, how did you enjoy the Dandadan episode? But to answer your question, Pierre, I'm weekly on One Piece. I'm weekly on Dandadan, Chainsaw Man, Kagurabachi, Ichi the Witch. What else? There's probably more stuff in Jump. Astro Royale, if I didn't say that already. I'm in the process of catching back up on Magic Lumiere because that's starting up soon, right? What's today? The 10th? Doesn't it come out? Does it come out Monday? Do I have that right? Can someone tell me when Magic Lumiere episode 1 comes out? But yeah, no, I'm very happy with how the anime is being handled. I don't really have any criticisms so far. I'm sure I have like one or two. Too Wampy, how you doing? Have I been keeping up with Gachi Akuta? Yes and no. I'm mostly caught up, but I took a bit of a break when I went to go read other manga. So I'm probably like 4 or 5 chapters behind on Gachi Akuta. But I'm not that far behind. Although, in like the last month or two, I have the feeling that there's probably been some big plot twists or spoilers. But just to give a quick take on Gachi Akuta, I would say Gachi Akuta is easily one of the better ongoing manga right now. I will say it's... Well, okay. I'll say this. I liked all the stuff. Swampy. Alright. Thank you. Sorry about that. But glad to hear you're doing good, Swampy. Long story short, I really like Gachi Akuta right now. I would say the only thing is they did a really good job fleshing out the main characters, but I'm still kind of waiting to see more from Engine, right? And some of the other main crew characters. But again, I'm like a month or two behind, so I could be totally out of the loop. I had something to say about the anime. I am curious. Did they say this was going to be 12 episodes? I think they only said it was only going to be 12 episodes. I'm curious then, if this is only going to be one core, how much they're really going to adapt. Because if we go to the manga, so they've adapted basically like a chapter an episode so far. They adapted the first chapter in episode 1, and then they adapted the second chapter in chapter 2. So they'll probably do like 2 episodes or 2 chapters in the next episode. So episode 3 and following, it'll probably be like 2 or 3 episodes. But that's the thing then, is like how much are they really gonna get done? Oh, is it 2 cores? I could be a dummy. This season has 12 episodes releasing weekly. Oh, okay. Never mind. Somebody said 2 cores, 12 episodes. 12 episodes each core, so 24 episodes. Okay, never mind. Yeah, so I guess my only concern then is the pacing. So far it's good, but I am curious to see how much they actually adapt and at what kind of pace in 24 episodes. Although, with 24 episodes, that should actually be perfect, because that would place it around like volume 8-ish, which 8 volumes in one season is just about perfect. That's like right at the end of the Evil Eye arc, whatever that arc is called. So that should be perfect. It is 2 cores, and the second core will premiere in the summer. Ooh. Okay. I see. So that, so they're going the new route of like, splitting it up throughout the year. The pacing in the first episode was kind of just jarring to me, but I think that's the manga's fault. Yeah, I mean, the first chapter does kind of go all over the place. I think it's a good first chapter, obviously, but I mean, I thought they handled it perfect. What's going on, J-Man? How you doing? Pleasure to have you. Really funny. Yeah, I really like the chemistry between Momo and Okarun to begin with. So seeing these two characters animated is awesome. Like, one scene I liked in today's episode was you had the scene where I'm an anime only and I'm excited to see more. I wish it was a 2-parter. Well, it will be 2 cores. So somebody was just saying the second part will be in the summer of next year. But one scene I liked was when they were trying to figure out what was going on with the Flatwoods monster, and Momo had the theory that they had to beat it in a sumo match. And so Okarun goes, I think you're a genius. And she goes, I always knew it. I thought that was funny. Dandadan, people always talk about Dandadan for like how crazy the art is and how weird it gets and like how it's about nuts, right? And boobs. But I would say the biggest appeal, in my opinion, like, you come for the art and the action, but I think what makes people stay with Dandadan is the character chemistry and the silliness. Dandadan is a very silly manga, obviously, because of the 5-year-old boy humor, but also because, like, it's just one of those series where Tatsu isn't afraid to, like, give you silly characters, and not just, like, characters doing stupid things. Like, these characters have dumb interactions, but, like, dumb in the way, like, you and your friends probably have dumb conversations that make no sense, but they're the funniest thing ever, right? It's one of the most endearing parts of Dandadan. So to see it animated is, like, probably one of the best parts of the anime. Okarun getting bullied is way better than Deku getting bullied. Yeah, because with Okarun, like, it's all in good fun. Like, Momo does it because of their chemistry, and obviously because she likes Okarun, right? And she's teasing him. And they have, like, that strong chemistry, so they kind of banter a bit. It's like Bleach mixed with JoJo's weirdness with raunchy elements. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. I mean, it's very bizarre. Pun intended. And another thing it does, like JoJo, since you brought that up, is it sort of incorporates all the weirdness from the real world. Like all the spirits are actual urban myths, right? Like the Flatwoods monster from today, that's a real urban myth from Flatwoods, Virginia. Turbo Granny is a real Japanese urban legend. So like it's all real world stuff. And the same thing with the aliens, right? Like there's some ground to them, right? Like all the stuff is from newspapers and articles and theories and tinfoil hat people. So it's not Tatsu just completely making all of this up. It does have some connection to the real world, which makes it that much more interesting. I think Dandadan is going to put Science Saru on the map if they aren't already. Science Saru is an interesting case because they are very popular, but they're not like Mappa where they feel the need to, be like the biggest thing every season. Because you have to remember, Science Saru has been in the industry for over a decade. They animated an episode of Adventure Time. They did a few Japanese movies. They did Devilman Crybaby, which was the anime of the year that year, I think. They did Keep Your Hands Off Isaacin. And then, of course, they did the Scott Pilgrim anime, which was big. As far as Dandadan's forecast, like its success, like how big is it going to be, 10 weeks from now, once the first core finishes? I think how big it will be is just going to come down to how consistent these episodes are, which, considering it's Science Saru, is pretty much guaranteed. So I don't think it's going to be Jujutsu Kaisen big or anything like that. But I do think it's going to have a brief pop in popularity towards the end of the first core. Then it's going to kind of fall into irrelevance in between core 1 and core 2. And then when core 2 comes out, I think there'll be a big return to popularity, so to speak. I think there'll be a big comeback. And at that point, it'll just kind of be up to luck. I'm not expecting the anime to blow up. I think it'll be kind of trendy by the time the first core ends, but I don't think it's too weird of a series. I mean, just look at the manga, right? I mean, the manga has been out for, God, I think like 4 years. And it's been doing well, but I mean, after 4 or 5 years, it's never really blown up like Jujutsu Kaisen or Chainsaw Man for that matter. And so translating that to the anime, I don't really think it's going to be super mainstream. Did I like JJK's ending? I really liked the very last chapter. The very last chapter, I would give like a 7. But overall, I would give Jujutsu Kaisen's ending like a 6, maybe a 7. I thought it was consistent. I thought it did a really good job of sort of putting a cap, so to speak, on the series and giving context to everything that happened throughout the story and sort of tying everything together thematically. But I think Gege went way too hard into the Gojo versus Sukuna fight and didn't bring that same energy to everything that came after that. Everything that came after that honestly just felt like a chore. Like, it felt like he wasn't have any fun writing that stuff, and he was just like, okay, I just gotta wrap this up. Whereas it honestly felt like he was having fun writing the Gojo versus Sukuna fight. That was entertaining. So to J-Man, yeah, the Bleach influence is crazy. I do think people kind of overinflate it. Like when people said, people said Bleach influenced Demon Slayer, which to a degree, there's obviously a lot of commonalities between Demon Slayer and Bleach, but it's never been directly quoted as saying that Bleach was a big influence there. And I mean, the author came right out and said, I got the idea for the demons from the vampires in Hammond from part 2. And like, nobody ever brings that up. I just hope Dandadan will be more popular than Undead Unluck. I haven't watched all of it, but I think that series didn't get enough love. Yeah. I don't know what happened with Undead Unluck. I think that's a TMS thing, because Undead Unluck was animated by Dave Pro, but it was produced by TMS, which also produces Dr. Stone. And Dr. Stone was very trendy in that first season. Season 2, it kind of lost people. Season 3 started out slow, but then by the end of season 3, there was a big comeback. But like, Dr. Stone has always been weirdly mainstream, where it is in the mainstream. I mean, when new episodes come out, you can look on Crunchyroll and you'll see that like, it's on the front page of Crunchyroll for months while it's out. But like, it never really gets any awards or anything like that, and it's never really like the most talked about show. So with Undead Unluck, I think it was just a matter of marketing. I think that's really what it came down to, because everyone that watched it thought it was awesome. It didn't have the biggest fan base to begin with, so it was kind of on TMS to handle the marketing. So if you ask me, I think it kind of falls on TMS's hands. Mugen888, do I like Berserk? Yes, I do. I'm not caught up, but I do really like Berserk. Somebody mentioned earlier that there's new chapters coming. I definitely will not be caught up for those new chapters, but I am curious to see what people think. Obviously, considering that the author's not writing them. I do kind of want to get into the recent drama with Dandadan, only because I've noticed that it has the potential to ruin any chances for the Dandadan community to grow. Now, what do I mean by that? So, in case you're not familiar, there was an incident where Chibi Reviews, obviously one of the biggest anime YouTube channels, did a review. He uploaded a review of the first Dandadan episode. And, well, okay, so there was two things. First, he tweeted and he did a tweet where he screenshotted that scene of Momo with the aliens in episode 1, and he tweeted something like, wow, the animators didn't have to go that hard for this scene. And obviously a lot of people came at him and they were like, dude, why do you have to be so weird? Which, regardless of intent, it was a very weird tweet. Like, it's already a very weird scene, and so it's just, it was handled not great, to say the least. And so then he uploaded a review of the episode, and the title of the episode, or the title of the video, was basically the same thing, right? Like, damn, the animators went hard for this scene. And so this has kind of been a recurring issue with Chibi, where he seems as if he's baiting people. I've seen people saying, oh, well, he's just being spicy, he's just being lewd. But, like, it's not lewd like posting, you know, reviews of like beach episodes and like, oh, look at Chibi being lewd. Like, it's like weirdly lewd stuff that's just kind of creepy almost. And again, I'm not speaking to intent. I'm just saying this is how it looks for optics. Obviously, I've been in at least 1 or 2 streams with Chibi, and, you know, in my experience, he's been perfectly normal, perfectly cool guy. But, you know, again, looking at his channel, looking at how he sort of brands himself, this is kind of just the reputation he's built in the last 3 or 4 months, I would say. So going into all the stuff with the Dandadan episode, I think this was just the climax. Like, it was building up to this, and then this was the one that kind of set people off. So obviously what happened next was you had a bunch of weirdos on the internet dox Chibi, right? They doxed him. They found pictures of his brother's grave, right? They disrespected his late brother. They found all of his private information, like his name, his family members, his social security, stuff like that. They posted it online. So then in response, instead of, like, you know, trying to own up to, like, hey, I'm sorry if you felt weird about these tweets, he went on the attack back, showed a gun in one of his videos, like saying, hey, if you come to my house, just know I have a gun. And then on Twitter, or one of his videos, he claimed that it was the Boruto community that was responsible for all of this, which he shows the screenshots of the person who said they doxed him, or the person who, you know, was saying that, like, this happened, right? And, like, first of all, they just say they're a Boruto fan. I think if you go to their profile, they, like, barely ever talk about Boruto. And second of all, even if they are a Boruto fan, like, why are you throwing the entire community, the entire fan base under the bus for what one weirdo did. Like, that's like saying, I don't know, if somebody posts a really cringe One Piece video, like, now you're gonna say that, like, the entire One Piece community is weird because they post weird videos. Like, it's kind of ignorant, honestly. And I mean, it even, it didn't sit right. It basically offended, it didn't basically, it did offend, one of my good associates, one of my friends in the community, Anime Explained, also known as Naruto Explained, one of the biggest names in the Naruto Boruto community. He's like, dude, why are you roping us into this? We didn't do anything. So, long story short, Chibi had a weird, to say the least, reaction to the first episode of Dandadan. That led to certain people in the community, or before I say community, pardon me, that led to people on Twitter, the internet, saying, or not saying, that led to people on the internet doxing Chibi, and then instead of handling it in a mature way, Chibi is pulling guns out in videos. He's blaming it on entire communities. And honestly, both sides are at fault here. Chibi is being very weird about this, but at the same time, like, I don't care what weird, disgusting take you have in a YouTube video, a post, a blog, whatever. That doesn't entitle people to threaten your life, threaten the safety of your family. It's just not cool. So both sides are idiots, honestly. But the issue I have with this, and the reason I bring it up for the purpose of our discussion, is I'm worried that this will kind of leave a sour taste in the mainstream for people trying to get into Dandadan, because now I'm kind of worried that, like, because of these assholes that did this to Chibi, now all of a sudden, like, oh, well, look at what the Dandadan community did to Chibi, right? Like, obviously he blamed it on the Boruto community, but, like, if we're just gonna play the blame game, then what's stopping people who, like, only know half the story from saying, oh, well, look at what the Dandadan community did? They doxed Chibi, the big anime reviewer, because they didn't like what he had to say about Dandadan. So far, it seems like the Dandadan community is not getting roped into this. Again, I don't know why he felt the need to attack the Boruto community. I think, honestly, that was a kind of ignorant thing to say. But again, nobody's doxing me and uploading pictures of my dead brother, so I'm not going to rip the guy apart. But I am curious to see how this affects the sort of reputation of the community going forward. I do kind of have that concern just in the back of my mind. Edens, what's going on? Pleasure to have you. I don't like the doxing stuff. But Chibi knew what he was doing and just went a little too far trying to get a reaction. That's the thing. Like, again, I've talked with Chibi in streaming events, not one-on-one, but, you know, obviously in group discussions. He's always been a cool guy, so I'm not going to assume intent. But at the same time, regardless of intent, a lot of his videos and posts do come off kind of creepy. He also has some other issues that I'm not going to bring up. And I say he has issues, but more, he also has other concerns that people raise as far as his brand and his community. But the relevant one, and the one that is kind of undeniable, is just sort of the brand he's made for himself in the last 3 or 4 months. And again, I just think this was the natural tipping point. It didn't necessarily have to be Dandadan, but I think because it was already such a sensitive topic, and because it's Chibi, and because there was already a bunch of tension about this sort of thing going into it, I think it was just bound to happen as soon as he did this. Again, not cool to dox him. Nobody should feel as though they have the right to do this. I don't care who the person is, what they did. You never have a right to dox someone, to ruin their life like this. It's just not cool, and quite frankly, it's effed up. But like I said, seems to have dodged a bullet here as far as the Dandadan community. From what I can tell, again, in my limited experience, it seems like discussion and attention for the anime are slowly on an incline. They're slowly on an increase. I think, honestly, the only thing that's holding it back right now, is just kind of how slow the first 2 episodes are, which is a weird thing to say because obviously the first episode is controversial enough to get someone doxxed. But you only meet 2 characters in the first episode. And then in episode 2, you don't meet any new characters. Oh yeah, Eden's doesn't even need to be stated. Like, posting pictures of somebody's dead brother and saying, like, yeah, screw that guy. Like, douchebag move. I don't care what Chibi did. It's disgusting. But again, the reason I bring that up is because I don't want the Dandadan community to somehow get the rap for that when, like, nobody that has a name in the Dandadan community did that. Like, it was some gross, weird rando. I've read the manga up to the Space Girl, so I'm holding off watching it episodic until it's over. Same with Bleach, even though it was leaked. I won't have to worry over spoilers. I think a lot of people do that, so you're definitely not alone on that one. I kind of do 50-50 where, like, when something comes out or when something comes back, for the first few episodes, I watch it weekly, and then afterwards I kind of let it build up. I do the same thing with manga. I'll, like, start a manga and I'll follow it weekly, or I'll catch up to a manga and then I'll read it weekly for a bit, and then I kind of let it build up. So I'm like 50-50. Like Gachi Akuta, I was like halfway behind, so I binged the whole, whatever, 80 chapters there were at the time a few months ago. And then I've just kind of let it build up for the last couple of months. I wonder if the leaks affected the shows that came out this season. Well, if I'm not mistaken, it was basically everything Netflix had for this season. Like, everything. Like, I'm pretty sure they leaked season 2 of Arcane, which is huge because Arcane was like the biggest show of that year. As someone who loves Arcane and thinks it's one of the best new shows of this era, I seriously am invested in the quality of season 2, and to that extent I do hope that, you know, season 2 is handled well and that it's received well. Then again, like, because it's already so popular, I'm not worried necessarily about, you know, it being just as popular or just as mainstream. It's already mainstream. Like, it's already hit the mainstream. The only thing I'm worried about is, like, will season 2 be as good as season 1? Yeah, exactly. That's kind of what you do with manga. You binge them. Maybe you follow it weekly for a couple of weeks, but then you kind of let it build up. I mean, especially with manga like Chainsaw Man. Like, Chainsaw Man is a weird one because for a while the week-to-week experience sucked. It's only recently that the week-to-week experience with Chainsaw Man has been worth following it every week. I wonder when Kagurabachi will get an anime now. Well, it's definitely going to get an anime. It's like basically the next Jujutsu Kaisen in terms of like the flagship series for Shonen Jump. So it's on like chapter 55 right now ish, 54, 55. So considering how much people like Kagurabachi, my guess is that it will probably get an anime announcement around chapter 90, which I don't know what volume that brings it to. Maybe like volume 4 or volume 5, something like that. But around chapter 90 would be my guess. So probably, I would say probably towards the end of 2025. Probably late 2025 or early 2026. Yeah, that's basically what I would think. I don't read Chainsaw Man. I'm an anime only. People keep talking about a character with a big ass. Yeah, you're not wrong. Started reading Dandadan manga when it first came out up to the latest chapter. I'm still fascinated at the visual and adaptation choices the studio made. I love how they fully animate the characters. I was just saying that. I love that you brought that up. I'm not sure if you were here earlier in the stream, so I won't repeat myself too much. But honestly, one of my favorite scenes in today's episode was Okarun and Momo going to Momo's house, and he gets set on fire because of the talisman. So then he gets back up and he goes to enter the barrier, and like they animate every little movement, every little twitch of him going like, can I come in? No, okay, all right, I'm good, I'm in. It just makes the characters feel alive, and it just makes me so happy, honestly, that Science Saru is the one animating this series. I'm fully convinced that they're going to kill every single episode. They're easily one of the most consistent anime studios. Do I think Gachi Akuta will be big next year? Um, I mean, based on how this current arc is being handled, it has the potential to be like blow up more than it already has. It's generally around that like chapter 70 mark, chapter 100 mark, where you kind of have that window. After like chapter 100, if you haven't had like your big moment, I kind of feel like you missed the window. The other thing I'll say, since we didn't stream a chapter review this week, is so we haven't had a chapter discussion in a while. So I'll kind of sum it up. So as of, also spoilers for anyone who's not caught up on the manga, I'll give you a hot second. Also, friendly reminder as we transition into a discussion about the manga, if you are enjoying the stream and if you like the channel and you'd like to support the channel and help keep it running, always remember that you can contribute to the future of this channel in the form of a small super chat. Daily goal for the streams is $25, so even something as small as just $1 can be a huge help. But that being said, as far as the new manga chapters go, I really liked the latest chapter. The revelation that Saint Germain can give people powers, I think, is huge, because the implication was that he just sort of used those powers himself. As far as I know, we didn't have any hints or suggestions that he gave these powers to other people. But knowing that he can give people powers, the powers that he collects, that's huge, because that means he can basically curse anyone he wants. And the other side to that, right? So you have, now that I kind of work this out loud, you have a common interest between Saint Germain and the aliens. Because the aliens are all after the spiritual powers on Earth. That's the whole reason they came to Earth. They all want to control the spiritual powers because it's unique to Earth, and they want to use it as weapons. And then you also have Saint Germain, who wants to collect every occult power that he can find. Now, obviously, there's the thing with the Dandadan, and there's the theory that he wants to collect, possess every one of the main characters. So Ira, Gigi, Okarun, Momo, Kinta, probably one or two more characters I'm forgetting. But not considering whatever plans he has with the so-called Dandadan, you have the potential for Saint Germain to team up with the aliens. Because if he can give spiritual powers or curse powers to this random teenage girl, then what's stopping him from making an alliance with the aliens and telling them, hey, if you help me, I'll give you some of these spiritual powers. So one of the big things people are wondering is like, what the hell is the Dandadan, right? Seems to have ties with Buddhist mythology, but it seems like that's like the end game thing. Another big concern we have now is, okay, what's going on with Turbo Granny? Because you even saw it in the recent chapter. Saint Germain seemed as if he was trying to take Okarun's powers, but it seemed as if he couldn't, just because Okarun didn't have those powers. So another big concern is like, what's gonna happen with Turbo Granny, right? Like, is Saint Germain gonna go after Turbo Granny? But now I think a third concern that I haven't seen anyone talk about yet, but I think it's only a matter of time before people see this, is I think obviously we just got out of a big alien war, right? It was a huge battle. And there was a big giant monster battle because of it. So I think what's going to happen is we're going to get an even bigger battle where Saint Germain is after the main characters, but he needs help, so he makes a alliance and manipulates the aliens, and he gives them spiritual powers. That is what I think we are headed for in the manga. But again, that's just my theory. Other than that, I don't really have anything else to add to the manga. Turning things back to the anime, we talked about pacing before. So, yeah, going forward, it seems like they're probably going to adapt about 2 or 3 chapters per episode. So, as far as where we'll be for the end of Core 1, I have a feeling we'll probably be like just meet Gigi by the end of Core 1. And then I think Core 2 will all be about that arc where we go to Gigi's town. I have a sneaking suspicion Core 1 is going to be all the intro stuff, the stuff with Ira, her backstory, and then at the end of Core 1, we'll meet Gigi and kind of get like the introduction into his backstory, but we won't really start that arc proper until Core 2. That's my prediction based on the pacing so far. Other than that, I really don't have anything else to add. Did we get Gigi and Evil Eye after Ira? Yeah, because Ira comes first. Unless I'm getting the name wrong. Yeah, we meet Ira before Gigi, because if you remember, Gigi isn't there when they go to help Ira in the I forget what her spirit is called, her yokai spirit, but Gigi isn't in that fight. Big Smoke said, hey, this probably sounds like a lot to ask, but I'm a big fan, and I've been recently started self-publishing my own manga. I would love if you could give me your thoughts on it. You can ignore this. Do you have a link to your manga that you can link in the chat? Or if you have a Twitter account, you're more than welcome to tweet it out and then at me in the tweet, and I can check it out that way. But yeah, I'd be more than happy to check it out. So Eden said, if so, I think Core 2 will wrap up with the Evil Eye arc. Yeah, I think Core 2 will end right about the same time the Evil Eye arc ends. Because beyond that, we haven't seen any other characters. Because what happens after that arc? I mean, I'm pretty sure it's right after that arc that we get into a lot of the alien stuff. So, considering we haven't seen any of that teased yet, I think the Evil Eye arc is a safe bet. Yeah, the Underground Worm arc, Evil Eye arc. Which, honestly, is a very intense arc, so I think it's a great stopping point for the first season. Yeah, but again, I don't really have much else to add. Obviously, we're only 2 episodes in. My 2 sort of background thoughts right now, or 3, I guess I should say, is how mainstream is this anime gonna get? Right now, my prediction is not very. I think it'll occasionally be trendy, but by in between parts 1 and 2, and then after season 2, I think it'll die down very fast. But it has potential. Second concern is the stuff with Chibi. Who knows what's going to happen next with all the craziness? I think I could be wrong, of course, now that I say it, but my suspicion is that he's probably done talking about Dandadan for a while. Let's see, Chibi Reviews. I just want to see if he... Oh, no. Yep. Son of a bitch. And literally right in the title, nothing is going to stop me from talking about Dandadan episode 2. But, to be fair, he put a perfectly normal title and thumbnail. So, yeah. But that being said, right now it doesn't seem like the Dandadan community is going to somehow get roped in with all the craziness. But I am just in the back of my mind kind of like, okay, how is this going to affect things? And then the third thing is pacing. Because based on the way we've worked it out, I think the anime is kind of set for pretty solid pacing. 2 or 3 chapters an episode is pretty good for pacing standards. But again, I am curious. Vamola and Kinta will be season 2. Yeah, I think that's a pretty safe bet. To be fair, that's also pretty late in the story. Have I seen the recent episode of Bleach's Third Core? I have not seen the new episode. I have not started the new season yet, but honestly, that's probably what I'm gonna do right after I end the stream, because the plan for me is to stop working for the day, go have dinner, watch Bleach, and then watch Thursday Night Football, because oh my god, who the hell is playing? The stupid thing is, I looked this up a few hours ago. The 49ers are playing the Seahawks at 8 o'clock, 8:15 rather. And I've low-key been having my shit kicked in my fantasy league, so I want to see how this game turns out. But yeah, no, I'm probably gonna watch the new Bleach episodes right after I have dinner, right after the stream. So look out on Twitter. If you follow me on Twitter, I'll probably tweet about the new episodes then. Yeah, exactly. Good point, Shane. Who would know that a person whose job it is to make you watch their videos would want you to watch their videos? Who I got for today's game? Ooh. Honestly, so let me see. I haven't been following the 49ers all that much. So based on their 2 team records, my gut instinct is the Seahawks. But I also don't think the Seahawks have been doing that terrific to my memory. I also haven't been following either teams very closely. Let me see. So the Seahawks are 3-2. I'm trying to figure out who the hell they played. Yeah, they played the Broncos their first week, the Patriots their second week, the Dolphins. So, I mean, the only hard team... What's their record right now? Are they 3-2? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so, I mean, they've lost their last 2 games. So, honestly, I think it's kind of 50-50. Because who have the 49ers played? Thank you to Victory Chislin Animations for the subscription. Glad you're enjoying the content and my my super on topic NFL discussions. Where the hell? They lost to the Titans. Oh, I remember. That was a stupid ass game. They beat the Saints. They tied the Raiders. What? They beat the Jets like crazy. And then they lost to the... Honestly, yeah, I think this is like a 50-50 game. Because they tied the Raiders, they beat the Jets, and they lost to the Vikings, who, to be fair, are one of the better teams in the league right now. Losing to the Titans is very weird. So I definitely wouldn't say they're one of the better teams. But yeah, I'd say it's like 50-50. On that note, this is where we wrap things up. Thank you to everyone for the great discussion. was glad to hear everyone's thoughts on the new episode and your thoughts on the anime going forward, what we can expect. Obviously, these are crazy times and there's a lot of bullshit going on, but as you all seem to have convinced me, I think it'll die down in the near future and we don't have to worry about it. But on that note, look forward to a new stream on Sunday when I read all the new Weekly Shonen Jump chapters. That'll be probably at the same time. I'll stream it like 5 o'clock. Am I going to say my iconic line? What's my iconic line? I have so many. Yeah, on that note, I'm going to try. I usually stream pretty early in the day, so I'm going to try streaming later in the afternoon and see what kind of turnout we get for those streams. But on that note, also I will mention that the camera for the streams, so actual, of course, that's coming. Don't you worry, Justin Garcia, that's coming. But actual live streams with a camera with my semi-handsome face will be coming soon. I have it sort of set up. I just need to get an SD card and a mount or a tripod and set it up. And then probably... Oh, no, excuse me, I'm lying. Backtrack for a second. There will not be a stream Sunday because your boy was kindly invited to a wedding. So I will be getting drunk, eating good food, and dancing on Sunday. So there probably won't be a stream. Assume there's not going to be a stream. I don't know. I still have to find out what time the wedding is, ironically. But unless it's super late, I probably won't stream on Sunday. So, asterisk, maybe stream. Probably not. But we'll see. In any event, big things to look forward to. Exciting times. So, thank you again to everyone who turned into the stream. And I look forward. No, it's not my wedding. Not my wedding. I didn't invite myself to my own wedding. Anyway, thanks everybody. And I look forward to hearing from you soon.